Good morning and welcome to Silverside Online, Sunday, November the 1st. Oh my goodness, November the 1st. I'm glad you decided to join us. We hope to be able to have some services back in our sanctuary in the next few weeks. It's going to be too cold for the next several months to do anything more outside. At least that's what we think. But we do hope to be back in the sanctuary for face-to-face services, some, not every week, in the very near future. But for now, I'm glad that you're here with us. Here's a question for you. Has all the worry you carry around about people and situations close at hand and worldwide, situations and people not in the best of shape, ever become such a load for you to bear that you've thought to yourself something like this? I cannot worry about another person or mess. If I try, I am going to come apart at the seams and ravel out into 100 tiny strands of what used to be just one whole me. I cannot take it anymore. One more anything on my shoulders, and I'm going to explode. If you've ever thought anything like that, today's gathering is especially for you. And if you haven't ever thought anything like that, well, then please share today's gathering video with somebody you know who feels as if she or he is near the end of his or her rope, as if she or he has had about all she or he can take of life's pressures, her or his own pressures, and those of so many others who struggle and suffer. The first reading this morning comes from Alexander McCall Smith's novel, The Woman Who Walked in Sunshine. I worry about you a great deal, Mrs. I worry that you will take all the cares of the world on your shoulders and that you will collapse under the weight. I worry that you will open your heart to so many people that eventually it will be full, crowded, and it will stop because there's no room for the blood to go round. I'm worried that you will look after so many people that you will forget that there is one person who also needs looking after. And that person is you, Mrs. I am worried about all these things. I'm pretty sure that you don't think that you have much in common with camels. Am I right? You might want to rethink that. It's rather arrogant of us to think that camels are never under pressure. Camels don't live stress-free lives. Life can be tough for camels too. Surely you've heard about the straw that broke a camel's back. Our second reading today comes from Rachel Van Dyken. She writes, if God meant for us to carry baggage around, God would have made our skin have little pouches like kangaroos. Or maybe God would have just made it so that each and every one of us were born with huge ass shoulders to carry the load. Clearly, we weren't made to carry the weight of the world. Kind of makes you wonder why we do it anyway, huh? November the 1st on the Christian calendar is All Saints' Day. And as such, we remember our loved ones who have transitioned out of this world into God's more intimate embrace. We ask those of you who had loved ones whose names you would like for us to call on today to give us those names. And we are only reading here the names that we were given. If a name was not given to us, we have assumed that loved ones, family members, friends did not want that name called for whatever reason. If we were fortunate enough to be in our sanctuary, I would ask you to stand in honor of these folks who have meant something to our congregation, or if we don't know them as a congregation, we know that they have meant something to someone in our congregation who is special to us. But here are the names of the honored dead on whom we focus this year and for whose lives we give thanks. Bob Balderston, Beth Bryson, Norma Day, Don Fredgant, Roberta Hay Bobby Jolly, Bill Lynn, William Porter, Anne Reese, Ashley Sterling, Tam Riston. Our third reading this morning comes from John Corwin. Despite the weight of the world on my shoulders, the temptation to stop and smell the supernatural roses tugged on my sleeves a time or two. Now, if you are one of those people who is carrying such a heavy load that one more straw is going to break your back or send you into a tizzy, it's going to make you have a breakdown, I have a few suggestions about how to keep that from happening. And the first one is to cogitate. Don't just keep moving forward, adding things or letting things be added to the weight on your shoulders. Stop, pause, do whatever it takes to get a break from the full pressure of those concerns and think about exactly what's going on, your involvement in each of the situations, what you can reasonably do to help, if anything, the advantage to you and the other people involved, the problems to which they are attached, the difference that you can actually make, particularly by worrying and fretting. Cogitate. First step, stop and think. Give yourself a little breathing room. The problems are not going to get exponentially worse if you take a little bit of a breather just to get yourself some mental clarity about what's going on here. Also, let it dawn upon you that the most energetic, vivacious, well-intentioned, spiritually engaged human being can only do so much. Don't stop caring about everyone and everything. Just think about the weight on your shoulders and begin to ponder the possibility of easing up that load. I promise you, this is going to require some education on your part. I promise you, some of the burdens you've been carrying for so long have settled into your mind as things that will never change, can never change in terms of your relationship to them. Well, that may not be the case. New circumstances present new opportunities. New treatments come along for health situations that used to be untreatable or have limited treatments. New people come into our lives and present themselves as potential friends. Your church community, you may find out, isn't just a bunch of people to see when we get there on Sunday mornings or Sunday afternoons for a beautiful outdoor service. There really are people there who care about your well-being and would help you bear your burdens if you permitted that. But educate yourself. Find out what's going on in each of these situations that you're burdened about and see if there are new ways to respond to them since you first started carrying these heavy loads. Begin letting the people closest to you know that there may be some changes in store, that you may not be the one on whom they can toss another trouble. As much as you love them, as much as you have carried burdens for them all these years, you may not be the person any longer, or at least in the foreseeable future, to carry their burdens for them because you have enough burdens to carry, or you've carried burdens so long you can't carry any more for your well-being and theirs. Don't suffer in silence, and don't keep thinking that things have to be the way they have been just because you've established this as a pattern. Things do not have to be the way that they have been. You are not destined to have to be someone who worries until you're sick and at the brink of a breakdown for the rest of your life just because you've established that as a pattern, or just because you are this wonderfully sensitive human being. This is not something anyone wants to criticize you for being so kind and caring. But people who love and care about you also want you to have a life and want you to be around as long as you possibly can, enjoying life as well. So start letting people know, once you've done some cogitating and educating, that there may be some changes coming. Whoops. Some of the people closest to you may not like this. You may find out that there are other people around who, at least part of the time, can take on some of these worries and concerns on your behalf if they have to be worried about, or at least take responsibility for responding to them so that you don't have to carry them on your shoulders any longer. You're going to pass some of these responsibilities and concerns and worries to other people to be chief responders or chief worriers if worry is going to have to be in the picture. You can't carry all of these by yourself, and so you're going to delegate to others. Every one of the burdens on your shoulders may not have to have a unique separate solution, which is to say that some of the burdens you're carrying may have solutions or responses that are similar or the same. So figure out which ones can be responded to with the same remedies or actions, and save energy. With less burden to bear on your shoulders, you should be able to navigate the world more freely. The weight of the world is no longer on your shoulders. There are concerns. You do care about people who are struggling. You care about problems in the world. You're not giving up on that. But you're moving without the burdens weighing you down. And maybe as you walk in new places with less weight on your shoulders, you'll figure out that there are some places to go where you tend not to get as loaded down with responsibilities as some of the places you were used to hanging out prior to your breakdown or near breakdown. Navigate the world differently from here on out. Now, you may have to abdicate, at least for a little bit of time, altogether, and let everybody know that you are not going to be the worrier. Many families have a worrier, a key worrier, a primary worrier, and everybody in the family knows it, whether consciously or not. And therefore, many of the rest of the people in the family don't worry because the designated worrier does the worrying for pretty much everybody. You know who you are. You might wake up one day and notify your family or circle of friends or whomever that you're abdicating. You're no longer the designated worrier. That might scare even you to death. You might not know exactly what to do with yourself or your time if you didn't have people and situations to worry about. I doubt that you will ever not be concerned about people and situations in the world. And I'm not pressing you to become that kind of person because I don't think that's probably who you are. And I don't think people who are followers of Jesus cannot be concerned about the strugglers and the people in the world who, the people in the world who don't have basic necessities and such. Huh? But we need to find ways that we can respond to those situations, even if they are baby steps, and know that we're doing all that we can do in the moment and not cause what slice of life we have to be ruined. And I don't mean for that to sound selfish or callous toward those who are struggling. But the dynamic could be very different in your family, couldn't it? If you let your immediate family and your extended family know that you're abdicating for a while or permanently, you will not be the family's designated worrier anymore. Now, if you dare to do that, if you have the courage to do that, you're going to need some recuperation time because you have spent so much time and energy caring and fretting and worrying about people who really need help. You've probably wounded yourself. Your shoulders are not just sore and weary, they're damaged. You're psychologically bent. You're not sure what it feels like to stand up straight, and maybe you can't even stand up straight anymore without help. So you'll need some time to recuperate. I would encourage you, I would encourage me, I would encourage us who have a tendency to carry burdens and weights and concerns until we can't move forward, to keep in mind the companionship of the Spirit of God. That is a reality, and it makes a difference. Isaiah 41, chapter 41 and verse 10. This is second Isaiah reporting words that he believes that he heard from God. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. May we pray. Life source, life force, our God. There's plenty to worry about in these days. The world is so troubled and at the brink its own self. We're grateful for those who care. We seek the strength and the wisdom today, gracious God, to be people who care, but not to be weighted down to such an extent that we lose our capacity to do anything to make a difference in helping people and improving situations that cause pain and suffering. And we are profoundly grateful for your presence with us, regardless of the circumstances of life. Amen.